I got a fun cushion.
Ow.
Ow. Ow. Ow.
Hey guys, welcome to Console Choice. I'm Mark, and the Switch generation is very sadly nearly at an end, but what an amazing generation it's been. And this is 5 game series that I have fallen in love with thanks to the Switch. First up, Metroid Prime. I've been playing Metroid Prime Remastered for the first time lately. Normally, I don't like Metroidvanias as a genre, they're just unnecessarily difficult to the point of being cruel. That's what I tell myself anyway, because I'm not good at them. But stick the format in 3D, and suddenly I'm hooked. I love the exploration, finding Samus upgrades, the combat, and I'm not usually a first-person shooter person either. Just the whole atmosphere of the game, that creepy sense of a civilization long gone, and in its place is a load of nasty monsters and hideous space pirates. I wasn't bothered about Metroid Prime 4 coming out until I played Remastered, and now I can't wait for it, especially that Switch 2 version. Beautiful.
In addition to standard controls, you can use mouse controls for intuitive gameplay on Switch 2.
When there's something strange in your neighborhood, who are you gonna call? Mario's slightly less brave brother Luigi. This is essentially a puzzle game that is chock full of charm and challenge. Armed with his ghostly vacuum cleaner, Luigi must spring clean its creepy occupants in an attempt to move up the hotel and rescue Mario, Peach and Toad. Each ghost must be weakened in a specific way before it can be successfully sucked up, making each enemy type its own puzzle. This game has arguably some of the best graphics on the Switch. The environmental detail, the lighting, the character animations are all gorgeous. And there's loads of hidden collectibles that can be genuinely difficult to find. I've only played the third one so far, I'm going to pick up the second one soon, and the first one is coming to the GameCube Nintendo Classics app. Hopefully there'll be future entries. I would love to see what the developers could do with the upgraded performance of the Switch 2. Kirby! Specifically in 3D. I want a sequel to Forgotten Land so badly. After years of 2D games that frankly didn't do it for me, his first 3D game is an absolute delight from start to finish. By now, it should be pretty clear I love collectibles in games, and this game is overflowing with them. First, you gotta save those Waddle Dees to progress, and there's dozens more to root around the levels for. Then you bring them back to a little town area that gets bigger the more Waddle Dees you find and adds new buildings, mini-games and an arena to play with. It's an addictive gameplay loop. There's also the copy abilities that all have multiple upgrades to make them more powerful. The post-apocalyptic design of the world is just so visually interesting, working your way through ruined cities, shopping malls, theme parks. It's just so cool. It's getting a Switch 2 edition with even better visuals and performance, and it's not bad on Switch, except when enemies are in the background they go super low res, and a bunch of new levels. If this doesn't get a sequel at some point as well, I will be very sad. Next is Dragon Quest. I'd never even really heard of this series until 11 came to the Switch. Admittedly, when I was a kid, they were called Dragon Warrior in the West, but I hadn't heard of that either. These are the quintessential Japanese or turn-based RPGs. It means a hero that doesn't tend to speak, going on a quest to defeat a Dark Lord of some type, battling enemies in turn-based combat, gaining experience and leveling up. Simple and classic. What makes Dragon Quest special is how it doesn't try to apologize about using these classic tropes, but just does its best to deliver a fun adventure. The monster and character designs are also a huge factor in the charm of the series, all being designed by the late, great Akira Toriyama, also famous for Dragon Ball Z, Chrono Trigger, and Sandland. His characters are some of the best you'll find in video games, and I love the voice acting for them, particularly in Dragon Quest XI. There's always collectibles and skill trees, sometimes there's a monster catching mechanic, and every now and then some time travel shenanigans. 11 is a particularly chunky entry. I cleared the main story in 90 hours, taking my time. But then, to my surprise, there was a 30-hour post-game. Incredible. I'm also playing through the HD 2D remake of 3. I'm very looking forward to the HD 2D remakes of 1 and 2 that are coming this year, and I'm looking forward to the 12th entry coming at some point also. You could make an argument that the series is old-fashioned, but personally, I think they got it right so long ago that they just don't need to change much anymore. Woohoo! Xenoblade Chronicles. Now here's a series that's claimed hundreds of hours of my time. Once again, I hadn't heard of these before 2 arrived in the Switch's launch year. It wasn't until the original Wii game got a definitive edition, however, before I picked it up off the back of several reviews I'd watched. And whoa! The story pulled me in instantly. A tale of an eternal war being fought on the carcasses of 2 great titans. A young lad sets out on a quest, not to save the world, but to get his revenge on the vicious machines who raided his hometown and killed his not quite girlfriend, and pledging to destroy them all. Dark. The story evolves from there and grows way, way beyond a simple tale of revenge, but the themes of war and destruction permeate the entire series. The worlds in these games are always huge and interesting. The creature designs are bizarre and fascinating, with the scale of them being truly stunning. Monolith Soft are so good at designing worlds that Nintendo even used the company to help design the Hyrule we see in Breath of the Wild, and have recently purchased the entire studio, securing this talent pool for the future. It's worth noting that combat in Xenoblade Chronicles is very different from games I'm used to. It's based on auto attacks that charge abilities that might require you to be behind or to the side of an enemy for max effect, and timing the use of these abilities with your other characters to pull off the most devastating combos. For example, an ally might stun a creature, allowing you to use an art, as they're called, to knock it off its feet, allowing more critical damage. 3 really nailed this combat system, making it easy to understand and introducing new layers at a satisfying rate that make the combat much deeper, but never overwhelming. There is always dozens and dozens of side quests and collectibles, the music is always great, and I cannot downplay the magnitude of those storylines. 1 and 3 are my personal favourites, with the latter also being an example of some of the best graphics on the Switch. I've started playing the recent definitive edition release of X, but I've held off on diving into it properly because of that rumour that I heard about it getting a performance boost on Switch 2. But they're all fantastic games, so I'm sure X is also going to be pretty damn awesome. So there we go. 5 series the Switch allowed me to fall in love with. Tell me about some of yours in the comments. I can't help but be a little sad that the Switch era is coming to an end. Yes, I know they're still releasing games for it, but still. But a new Nintendo generation is always an exciting time. I have been lucky enough to pre-order a Switch 2 for launch day, and despite some of the things that are upsetting people like the keycard system, I really can't wait to get my hands on it. Thank you very much for watching Console Choice. Like and subscribe if you fancy. I'm Mark, and I'm off to play some more Xenoblade, I think. Yeah.